Hello guys, it's me Simo Urahara, and in this video I want to talk about why Toshiro and Matsumoto didn't meet Isshin when they went to his house. And we will also talk about if this team can reunite again by going back on talking about how this trio met and how their relationship formed. And so guys, as you know, we talked about this topic years ago, and what made me want to talk about it again is something that I read in the novel We Do Not Always Love You. And this thing, I'll talk about it in the last part of this video. So first of all guys, let's talk about Isshin Kurosaki or Isshin Shiba. So what we need to know guys is that Kobo had planned from the beginning that Isshin would be a Shinigami. In an old interview, Kobo said that when he finished drawing the first chapter, he already has in his mind that Isshin would be a Shinigami, but he didn't yet have the idea that Isshin would be a captain in the GOTY 13, since the concept of the captains wasn't fully developed in his mind at the time. You know, we're talking about the beginnings. That's why I think the idea of Isshin being the captain of the Thin Squad likely formed in Kobo's mind during the Soul Society arc, before Isshin's first appearance as a Shinigami again. Evidence of this is all the details that we have seen in the first appearance of Isshin, which Kobo used as a basic points to start the flashback of Everything But the Rain, such as Urahara talking about Isshin's Shinigami's power back again after 20 years, Isshin's meeting with Ryuken, and other events that will be mentioned in the flashback of Everything But the Rain. Not only that flashback, but also the flashback of Turn Back the Pendulum, like when Hirako couldn't identify the reacts of Isshin, and we later learned that Hirako was a captain in the GOTY 13, before Isshin was the captain of the Thin Squad. That's why I'm convinced that before the Arrancar arc began, Kobo had a clear idea that Isshin was the captain of the Thin Squad, with Matsumoto as his vice captain and Toshiro as the third seat. But whatever the case, let's leave these speculations and go back to the story, specifically to the past, when Isshin was the captain of the Thin Squad. What we can notice at the time guys is that Isshin became the captain of the Thin Squad when it had no captain before, because the previous captain was killed, and we know that in the Pendulum flashback. Sadly, we don't know the identity of that captain, but many believe that he was also from the Shiba family and possibly Isshin's brother. And some people believe that Squad Thin was always led by members of the Shiba family, just like Squad 2 that has been led by members of the Shihon family for generations, and the same thing can be said about Squad 6, that was led by members of the Kuchiki family also for generations. And based on this, we can say the same thing for the Thin Squad, also was led by members of the Shiba family, and the last member was Isshin Shiba. And here guys, I want to point out an important detail. Isshin was a captain while Kain was still alive, meaning that the incident that led to Kain's death hadn't happened yet. Evidence of this is that Isshin Shiba was present in the GOTY 13 when Kain Shiba was killed. Isshin wanted to send a condolence message to Rukia, but eventually he gave up on the idea. And I think during that time or shortly before it, Toshiro would join the GOTY 13. I don't know if he joined the squad of Isshin directly or was in another squad, but it is certain that he was exceptional from the start, having achieved Bankai before joining the GOTY 13. As for the relationship between this trio, I find it unique on many levels. I mean, they look like a family, made up of father, mother and child. We saw how Matsumoto was always looking for Isshin to push him to work, while Isshin recognized Toshiro's power and that he would be the future captain of the squad. And Toshiro also understood very well how Isshin was thinking, especially when Isshin went to investigate the disappearance of the Shinigami officers in the real world. Toshiro knew that at the time, he or Matsumoto had nothing to do or to offer to Isshin. However, Isshin's going to check on Masaki in the real world is the thing that no one knew about, not even Matsumoto and Toshiro. That's why I do think that the disappearance of Isshin might have had a big impact on them, leaving many questions about Isshin's fate and where he went. So I imagine how it felt for Toshiro and Matsumoto when Isshin left without saying goodbye. For example, if Isshin had left in that scene and never returned, they would surely know that it has something with the disappearance of the officers. But what happened was that Isshin left and came back, and so everything seemed normal. The investigation ended and the case was closed. Isshin's going to check on Masaki in the real world was something no one knew, and Isshin kept it secret from everyone, including Matsumoto and Toshiro. And this is why I said that Isshin's disappearance might have had a big impact on them, leaving many questions about his fate and where he went. However, Ichigo's arrival in the Soul Society for the first time marked the beginning of the truth being revealed to many Shinigamis about Ichigo's connection to the Shiba family. I'm not saying that some of them discovered Ichigo's true identity, because it's really hard for anyone to think that a Shinigami would marry a human and give birth to a child. No one would think about that. However, some of them notice a clear resemblance between Ichigo and Kai and Shiba, like Byakuya and Okitake. As for Toshiro and Matsumoto, they didn't have a direct contact with Ichigo, and I don't think they would connect him to Isshin Shiba unless Ichigo's Ryatsu made them feel some similarity to Isshin's. However, Matsumoto and Toshiro, they will discover this truth when they went with Rukia to the real world and visited Ichigo's house. At the time, Isshin had regained his Shinigami powers, so Toshiro and Rangiku felt his presence. And yes, this was confirmed by Kobo in one of his answers in Club Outside and also in this old interview. And so both answers confirmed that they knew Ichigo's father was their former captain, but didn't want to approach him or to talk to him. They believed that since Isshin chose to hide his identity, they surely wanted to talk to him and question him, but they respected his new life and his privacy, especially at those moments. On the other hand, knowing that Ichigo's father was his former captain changed Toshiro's perspective about Ichigo, as Kubu said that one of the reasons why Toshiro came to the real world with Zaraki and the others in the Fullbrink arc and his happiness that the person who came after Ginju was Ichigo, all of this was based on knowing that Ichigo is Isshin's son. And now that guys we know why Toshiro and Matsumoto didn't meet Isshin, let's move on to this question. Can this trio meet again? In fact, this is possible. And we have a scene in the novel We Do Not Always Love You where Toshiro talked about this matter. So when Toshiro was on a vacation, he went to visit his grandmother in the Rokongai. And honestly, I thought she had died after Toshiro became a captain. But even after the war between Yhwach and Ichigo and the 3 years had passed, she was still alive. Anyway guys, on his way back to the Serity after he went to his grandmother, Toshiro met Ganju, where they start talking about one of the famous stories of Okitake that was published in the Serity magazine. The story became well known even outside the Serity and Ganju was fan of it. And when Ganju was about to leave, he said something to Toshiro that made Toshiro remember Isshin, his former captain, and what Isshin said to him back then: "Take charge while I'm gone, Toshiro." At that moment, Toshiro said that one day they might meet Isshin as a Shinigami in the Serity again. I don't know what made Toshiro think like that. Maybe when Isshin's Giga reaches its limits as a human, Isshin would return to the Soul Society as a captain in the Gute. Maybe like that. Indeed, Isshin's return is possible, but to Gute 13 I'm not sure. And in any case or situation, if Isshin returns to the Soul Society, he could meet Toshiro and Matsumoto and witness Toshiro's growth in power. So guys, what do you think about this topic? Tell me your opinions in the comments and see you in my next video.